Yeah. I tend to hold it straight up and down. Yep. So this is a good one because you actually, you can get a pretty clear eyeball of the numbers.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 108 there, 5.108, maybe 7. We'll fall down there. Yep, 562. To go back through the records because I'm concerned about that temperature range. You certainly don't want them getting submerged in water, those Faro loggers. So this is a Heron skinny dipper. It sort of speaks for itself. It's got a narrow probe which is more suitable for your piezo's that are quite narrow in diameter. The measuring point for this probe is right here. So unlike some of the others that have their measuring point at the bottom of the probe, this one is mounted partially along the body. We do have issues with these sensors at times. They're highly reactive, and it's particularly in a narrow piezo. If they touch condensation on the side of the piezo pipe, they'll start to react and make a bit of noise as if they were actually measuring water level. You do have to be careful that you are actually measuring water level, and sometimes it can take a bit of jiggling around before you're really confident that you are actually touching water level and not some form of interference on the probe itself. So that's how you check your battery. This here, like this one here, has a dial for your sensitivity. I generally try to run mine at full sensitivity. If you start backing them back, particularly in bores with a high saline content or high conductivity, it will affect your reading. So in order for consistency, I try to run them at full sensitivity all the time. The probe on this one here is quite a bit different than the one you've just seen. The sensor is actually on the end of the probe. The probe is slightly wider in the body, and yeah, it's a whole lot more rigid than the smaller one here. You can see the difference between the two. Here's the comparison between the two measuring points side by side. So Yeah, but basically the function's the same. It is important to note that these two dip meters, they don't always read the same reading. There can be a variation between 3, 4 right out to 8 mils. Why, I don't know. I can only assume it's to do with the sensitivity parameters of the device. I mean, our main reference when we are calibrating these dip meters is using a reference tape to make sure that our measurement increments are correct and the tape hasn't stretched or been damaged.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it is something to note. I think if you have runs that you're doing, ideally to keep your consistency, you'd want to actually use the same dip meter each time for each run, and then you take any of those variables out. If you